Namibia Rare Earths started off as a company which is really focused on gold. Of course, it had to change its name when it found a completely different resource. Gerry McConnell joins us now. He's CEO of Namibia Rare Earths. A really interesting story. Very briefly, give us a little bit of background to where you are now.
Sure. This is interesting because we were looking for gold in Namibia. We went in there in 2005. We were looking for Olympic Dam number 2. We knew that rare earths were a possible pathfinder to these large gold deposits. We spent about $5 million, didn't find the gold, but we stumbled by accident onto these rare earths. And we decided before we retreated, we were thinking of retreating from Namibia. We said, listen, we better have a look at these dikes that were right at surface and test them for rare earths. And it turns out that the rock samples that we took gave us indications of the richest known area of heavy rare earths on the planet. And so that was about 2008. So that's what took us on this course of looking for rare earths. But the assets were inside a company called Etruscan. I rolled those assets out in 2009 into a private company, raised $5 million as a private company, conducted enough work that we then made application to be listed on the senior board in Canada, the TSX, not the venture.
Right.
And we did that in April of 2011 and raised about $30 million at that time.
How much money have you still got left in the bank? What's the situation now?
We're really blessed in this present market conditions. Sure. We have $17 million left in the bank, and at a rate of expenditures that would take us through comfortably the next 2 years. So we're really fortunate to be in that position.
So what stage are you at now on the rare earth side?
So what we did, we outlined this what's called a carbonatite complex, and it is revealed by an airborne radiometric survey. And the radioactivity of the thorium that's present in the carbonatite complex outlines this area that is massive. It measures 200 square kilometers. So that's the prospective ground that's in front of us. But we knew, experience in the mining business, that we had to quickly move to have a 43101 compliant resource. So we picked one area. And we've come to market with our first 43101 compliant resource on this huge complex that we have, and we only released that in September of this year, and that was our initial shot at it. But and we have enough resource there that indicates that this can be a mine. But the next important step and the fundamental step in the rare earth business is doing the metallurgical testing to see if those rare earths that we're seeing, whether they can be extracted. And that's the key.
When is that going to happen? How long are we
have engaged Mintech of South Africa, a world-class metallurgical firm who we've had a long experience with, and they're in the process now of doing a series of met tests, and we should have all of that completed by the end of February of 2013. So the missing piece here should be in place by February of 2013.
These are heavy rare earths. How do they differ from light rare earths, and what's the ultimate market for this?
Well, the experts in this field are saying that there's going to be almost an oversupply of lights. Lights are much cheaper. Traditionally, rare earths, the heavy rare earths, sell for a price per kilo that's 25 to 30 times higher than lights. And that's because heavies are so hard to find in economic concentrations on the planet, extremely difficult. All of them today come from the ionic clays in southern China, and China has the rest of the world in their grasp because they're the only ones that are producing heavy rare earths.
What are you going to do about your path towards production? Are you going to go towards production as a company as you are, or are you going to have an exit strategy?
No, we want to stay in on this because of the potential that's ahead of us in this 200 square kilometers. But one of the things we pride ourselves on as a company is that we know what we don't know. And what we don't know is processing and extraction. So we have an attractive enough resource here that we will be able to, and am confident, attract one of the leading players in the world that's their specialty of extraction. And we'll marry up with them. We'll carry on doing what we do best, which is exploring, and they'll carry on doing what they do best, which is extracting these heavy rare earths and making money for our shareholders.
Very briefly, what sort of environment are you operating in at the moment? I mean, Namibia, we know, is fairly arid, not very well populated, which could presumably work to your advantage.
Yes, it does in a way. But what's wonderful about Namibia, it's a former German colony, therefore everything works well. Great infrastructure. We have a national dirt road that goes right through the deposit. We're 10 kilometers away from power source, and we're about 250 kilometers away from a deep water port. So the infrastructure is there to be able to carry this off.
Okay, well, good luck with everything. We look forward to hearing
Thank you very much.
How the project continues.
You're most welcome.
But Gerry, thanks for joining us. Gerry McConnell, CEO of Namibia Rare Earths.